Well, actually, you do it without thinking. A crumpled ball of paper, a trash can across the room. You flick your arm, the paper arcs through the air, and it drops in. You barely even looked. But the real answer to what you just did is far stranger than you think, because no other animal alive can do that. Not one. A chimpanzee is more than 5 times stronger than you, pound for pound. It can tear your arm out of its socket. But if a chimp throws a rock at you, it travels around 20 miles per hour, and it usually misses. A child can throw harder than the strongest ape on Earth, and nobody ever told you that you were holding a superpower. So where did it come from? To understand your arm, you have to go back almost 2 million years, not to a city, not to a farm, to a dry, open grassland under a brutal sun, where your ancestors were not the hunters, they were the hunted. Slow, soft, no claws, no fangs, no armor. A creature that any leopard would consider lunch. You were not built to win a fight. So your ancestors did something no animal had ever done before. They learned to win without touching the enemy at all. They learned to throw. Think about what that actually means. Every other weapon in nature is attached to the body. The tooth, the claw, the horn, the stinger. To use them, the animal has to be close enough to die. But a thrown rock is a weapon that leaves your hand and travels. For the first time in the history of life, a fragile primate could reach out across empty space and strike something it never touched. Distance became a weapon, and distance changed everything. But here's the part that should stop you. Throwing is not really about your muscles. It is about something hidden inside your shoulder that took millions of years to build. In 2013, a Harvard researcher named Neil Roach put athletes in a motion capture lab and filmed them throwing frame by frame the way you would study a rocket launch. What he found rewrote the textbook. Your shoulder does not work like a muscle. It works like a slingshot. When you cock your arm back to throw, you stretch the tendons and ligaments that cross your shoulder, and they store elastic energy, like a drawn bowstring, like a wound spring. Then, in a fraction of a second, all of that stored energy releases at once and whips your arm forward faster than your muscles alone could ever move it. Your shoulder is, quite literally, the most powerful spring in the animal kingdom. A chimpanzee cannot do this. Its shoulder is built for climbing, angled up toward the trees, locked into a body, designed to hang from branches. It cannot store the energy. It cannot release the whip. So when a chimp throws, it pushes. When you throw, you uncoil. And that uncoiling is the fastest motion the human body can produce. Faster than a kick, faster than a punch. When a professional pitcher throws a baseball, their upper arm rotates at over 9,000 degrees per second. That is the fastest movement ever measured in any human joint. It is so violent that it would tear the arm of any other animal apart. Your body evolved to survive a motion that nothing else can. So how did a soft, slow scavenger end up with the most explosive joint on the planet? It happened in pieces, and the pieces are still inside you right now. Roach and his colleagues traced 3 quiet anatomical changes that appeared in your ancestor Homo erectus around the time the throwing began. Your waist became flexible, so your torso could twist and snap back like a coiled rope. Your shoulders dropped lower and wider, opening the angle so your arm could wind all the way back. And the top of your arm bone rotated, so your hand could cock into the perfect launch position. None of these changes looked dramatic. You would not notice them in a skeleton at a glance, but together they turned an ordinary primate into a precision weapon. And notice what nature did here. It did not give you a bigger muscle. It rearranged the geometry of your body so that the energy you already had could be stored, multiplied, and released. Evolution did not make you stronger. It made you faster at letting go. But strength and speed are still not the strangest part. The strangest part is the timing. To throw a rock and actually hit a moving target, your brain has to release the rock at exactly the right instant. Let go a few thousandths of a second too early, and it sails high. A few thousandths too late, and it drops short. The window of accuracy for a hard throw is smaller than a single millisecond. Your nervous system is making a life or death calculation in less time than it takes a neuron to casually fire. The neuroscientist William Calvin spent years on this puzzle, and he argued something remarkable. He suggested that the brain machinery you built to time a throw, to sequence a precise burst of muscle commands in exactly the right order, may be the same machinery you later use to sequence sounds into words. Sit with that for a second. The circuitry that lets you speak a sentence might be a descendant of the circuitry that let your ancestor hit a gazelle with a stone. Language, in this view, is throwing turned inward. You are flinging words instead of rocks, in the right order, at the right instant, at a target you cannot touch. Why would that connection even exist? Because both tasks demand the same impossible thing. A flawless sequence fired once, in a precise order, with no chance to correct it mid-flight. The rock leaves your hand, and you cannot call it back. The word leaves your mouth, and it is already gone. Both are one-shot acts of timing, and the brain may have only invented that skill once. So your ability to throw did not just feed you. It may have helped build the part of you that is reading these words. But let us go back to that grassland, because the throwing did something else. Something that reshaped your whole species. Once your ancestors could kill from a distance, the entire balance of power on the savanna flipped. The slow, soft primate was suddenly dangerous. A pack of early humans with rocks could drive a lion off its kill. They could bring down animals far larger than themselves. They went from prey to predator without ever growing a single claw, and meat changed them. Meat is dense, concentrated energy. It fed a hungry, expanding brain. Some researchers believe that without the calories unlocked by hunting, the human brain could never have grown to the size it did. Throwing fed the brain. The brain refined the throw, and the loop spun upward for 2 million years until it produced you. And here's the counterintuitive twist. The thing that made throwing so deadly was not the power. It was the cooperation. One human throwing a rock is a nuisance. 20 humans throwing rocks together, timed, coordinated, aimed at the same target, is an unstoppable force. To throw as a group, your ancestors had to read each other, anticipate each other, move as one. The same minds that learned to aim also learned to coordinate, to plan, to trust the person beside them to throw at the right moment. Your social brain and your throwing arm grew up together. You did not just learn to attack from a distance. You learned to attack as a team, and that instinct never left you. It is why a crowd at a stadium gasps in unison when a ball flies toward the stands. It is why throwing games appear in nearly every culture on Earth, invented over and over by people who never met. Baseball, cricket, darts, the shot put, the javelin, which is just a sharpened version of the spear your ancestors threw to survive. We took the act that once kept us alive and turned it into play, into sport, into the thing children do in a yard for no reason at all, except that it feels good. It feels good because it is ancient. When you throw something and it lands exactly where you aimed, you feel a small, clean spark of satisfaction. that spark is 2 million years old. It is the echo of a moment when hitting your target meant your family would eat, and missing meant they would not. Your body still rewards the throw because for almost all of human history, the throw was the difference between life and death. So think again about that crumpled paper. The trash can across the room, the casual flick of your arm you did not even watch. In that single throw, you used a shoulder that evolved over millions of years into a biological slingshot. You stored elastic energy in tendons older than your species. You released it with a timing precision finer than a millisecond, governed by brain circuits that may also let you speak. You performed a motion so violent that no other animal could survive it. Born on a grassland where your ancestors were trying not to be eaten, you carried out an act of cooperation, calculation, and survival that helped grow the very brain now reading this sentence. And you did it to throw away a piece of garbage. That is the strange truth hiding in your arm. You are the only creature on this planet that can reach out and strike something it will never touch. Every other animal must close the distance to harm. You alone can act across empty space. It's so deeply built into you that you forget it is a miracle at all. So the next time you toss your keys onto the counter, or skip a stone across a lake, or fold a piece of paper and flick it at a bin across the room, pause for just a moment. You are not doing something simple. You are firing the oldest weapon your ancestors ever invented, the one that turned the hunted into the hunter, the one that may have helped teach you to speak. You do it without thinking, but nothing about it was ever simple at all.